Hello, guys, and welcome to From the Top, which is the name of this podcast now. We've decided, we finally got our finger out and gave this podcast a name. So it's called From the Top because we are looking at the top ranked games of all time on Metacritic. Last week or last month or last episode was Ocarina of Time. One of those like perennial classic games that's always at the top of these lists, critically acclaimed, hugely influential, defined a generation of gamers. So what would be number two? And we hated it. But what else could be number two but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2? It's always the silver medal to Ocarina's gold medal, really, isn't it? I'm here with Sean and Steve to discuss this game. Just a little bit of background. It was made by Neversoft and published by Activision. It came out in 2000, I think, did it?
Yeah. That's right.
September 20th, 2000. And it was a huge success, obviously, and just really surprisingly critically acclaimed. I guess the first thing to get into is, how is this game here?
Before we get into that, can I ask one question? Is Neversoft a dick joke?
Oh.
It's a good point, actually. But
I've never thought of that before, but it's just, as you were saying, I was like,
Neversoft. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I always
although their logo has like an eyeball on it.
It's got an eyeball being pierced by like
a dick.
No. Why would you jump there?
Because
the eyeball's kind of moving like in a swimmy, spermy, tadpole-y kind of way. So
Yeah,
and
that's
obviously
true.
they couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, I do remember him doing lots of like edgy games at the beginning. Like they had one. I don't know if he's ever played Apocalypse.
No.
It was a third-person action shooting game starring Bruce Willis for some reason.
I remember that. Jesus.
I remember I always got it mixed up with Armageddon because he's in a film called Armageddon and in a game called Apocalypse. Both are whack. Both are really bad. Anyway, why is this game here?
It does seem like a weird one to be second of all time because it's such a specific thing, like skateboarding game, do you know?
Yeah.
But I do remember when it came out, like you said, it was like like everybody was playing it. It like jumped. It got like amazing reviews. Okay, Steve wasn't, but you've gone back in time and played it.
You didn't. You've gone back in time.
That was
after Ocarina of Time, I figured I might as well use these new skills that I've acquired from last week.
No,
but time is relative.
But yeah, I don't know. It does seem a weird one to me. Even though I think like gameplay wise and everything, it's like just perfect.
It is a good game. Like
it's a good game.
I still just think like greatest games of all time. Like it's just mad. But obviously that's just based off ratings anyway. So like it's all subjective.
Yeah, that's true.
After that massive assumption that Sean made there that everyone was playing this, just to double check, did you guys play this when it was released or
No.
like?
I actually did. I think this was the first Tony Hawk's game I played. And then
Did you have the whole, come on over, we're going to watch Jackass, and then we're going to play Tony Hawk's, and then we're going to scull a few bottles of Blue Wicked and out in the back garden sort of thing?
Maybe not the Blue Wicked, because I think I was 10 years old, possibly. But no, it was, I got swept up in that sort of early noughties skate, edgy MTV version of that sort of thing. And Jackass, of course, became a bigger part of the Tony Hawk series as well as it went on. But I played the second one when it came out, roughly, and yeah, it just blew up out of nowhere. Maybe it was like a zeitgeist thing, as in skater culture was getting bigger, but also the games are just really good. They're like really pick up and play. There's so many people I know who aren't, quote unquote gamers, like would regularly play, but they all know Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I think, I remember like in my town, my shitty, tiny Irish town, where there's like one hairdresser, one post office, a mere 8 pubs, and like
those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing there, but for some reason, like I think it was around 2001 or 2, they decided we're going to build a skate park now in like the town park. And it's like, why? And like there's a skate shop in Gorey. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But it was
Yeah.
there was like kind of skateboard mania around that time because like you said, Jackass and then the Tony Hawk's games like got everyone interested in it in some way.
I bought one, went on it once, fell off.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah,
If I'm not instantly good at this, why bother?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I've got a more dickheadish version of that story. My sister bought one, stood on it, got really excited that she was balancing, and then I went over, kicked the board out from under her feet, and she never went on it again. I was
so
an
mean,
arsehole.
man.
Fiona, I am so sorry for that time I pushed you off the skateboard.
Jesus Christ. Were you jealous or like you're just having fun?
I think I think I was jealous a little bit. I was like, you managed to stay standing. We'll see about that.
Man, I did a similar thing one Christmas. My sister built a snowman and it was like,
Sean.
it took her ages and it was perfect. And then her and my mum went off to get like, I think it was the coal or something for the eyes or something.
finish it off.
And I ran out and kicked the whole thing down. And it's to this day, it's probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Because there was no excuse. There was no coming back from it. You know what I mean? They were like, Sean, what the heck? Like, why did you do that?
There was
like, I can't say a thing. Do you know what I mean? I
can't say it was an accident.
Like, yeah, I tripped.
He started it.
Let's abandon this Tony Hawk's thing.
I'm really sorry, Aoife.
No,
about
I
that,
want to
but-
dig deeper into what's the worst thing you've ever done in your life. This is the new title of the podcast.
Sean, me and you have said what the worst thing we've done. Michael, what did you do?
Michael's got a whole list of things, I'd say.
What?
Kill the man.
There's a certain Chinese in Wexford that you have to apologise to.
Oh yeah.
Oh, lads.
Can I specify? There's a Chinese restaurant in Wexford that I need to apologise to. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know.
that the-
That story always jumps into my head though about you doing that. But
What did I do?
Is that
You
the one
pulling
that
the
I need
pants
to
out.
Oh, wait, no, I wasn't there for that, was I?
No, okay.
sorry.
So there's a Chinese restaurant in Wexford that every time I went there, they had these fake flowers in like a stone in a flower pot filled with stones, and I'd rip them out every time. The stones would go all over the floor. When I come in, the guys would be like, "Yeah, this guy, he's gonna do it again." But I think even
How
funnier.
does he keep getting back in here?
I think even better than that is me and Sean used to live together when we were in college for like 4 years, and anytime Sean would ask me for a phone number, be it like of a friend or of a local takeaway or whatever, anytime Sean would ask me for a phone number, I would always give him the phone number for this Chinese restaurant in Wexford. You never recognise the number. But you just be like, "Hey, thanks, man. Beep, beep, beep. Ring, ring. Hello, Golden Dragon. Fuck!"
Oh, man. I do remember that
God.
like once or twice. So yeah.
I actually remember the Golden Dragon as well. Like, that was a great one. Anyway, listen, Tony Hawk's, huh?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Have you got a story that is like unredeemable?
Actually, I do have something, right?
Okay.
And Steve was in the room. I was playing Worms with a friend of ours in college. And do you know the way in Worms it's turn-based and like you can see the end coming. You can know who's winning. And it got to like a few like moves left or whatever.
I already know where this is going.
And I was about to lose, so I went over and turned off the PlayStation. And it's sort of like I didn't lose.
Who were you playing against?
A friend of mine, Colin. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Fucking
The
hell.
look of absolute devastation on his face, though, was so funny. 'Cause he's just like, how could you be like? He wasn't even angry. He was just like, I can't believe someone could be this big of an arsehole.
That's the ultimate rage quit. Like you just go and turn off the console.
Okay.
Anyway, Tony
let's
Hawk's.
go.
Yeah. So
What made this game so good, or why did I know we were talking about when around that time skateboarding was becoming popular and you had a big zeitgeisty movement, but like there are other elements. Like we were saying, this game is very easy to pick up and play. Like it's very easy to get into.
true.
Yeah.
It's. Sorry, go ahead there, Sean.
No, sorry. You carry on.
Oh, we're so polite here, aren't we? You fucking kicked a snowman down. I know you're not that nice a
Yeah,
person.
I know you're wrong.
Yeah, no, it's I was playing it here, and it's one of those games. Like I really wanted to finish it before we did this podcast, and it's just one of those games that I found myself constantly going, so I'll just have one more go. I'll just have one more go, and that is a sign of a great game when you really don't want to put it down. But like, yeah, it's just really enjoyable. Really, it's got a really good gameplay loop that you constantly want to keep coming back to it. Like,
yeah, it's like I didn't play it when it came out, but I think I played, like, I had the demo of the first game or something, so I played that warehouse level over and over. But I did play the remakes for this podcast basically, and they kind of gel together in a lot of ways because I guess they've taken the gameplay of the second one and kind of put it across both, and then like it's also been remade, so like it feel like playing a level in one and then playing a level in two seems kind of very similar. But one thing that got me is it like the easeability, is that a word, of getting into the game, and like the way you have challenges.
It's not a word.
Okay, it's not.
It is now.
the way each level has, or each like mission or level has challenges in it, and then you can just like play a level, tick off as many of them as you want, and then come back to it another time, tick off a few more. Do you know? And that's what I found myself doing. I would complete as many as I could to unlock the next level, then go and play that, and keep doing that over and over, and then I'd go back at the end and see can I like get all the top scores and stuff. But yeah, and the fact that each level's timed as well, I can't remember how long, like 2 minutes or something. So
I think it's less. It's not like, oh no, sorry, I think so. Yeah, no, you're right, it is too.
It's like 2 minutes or just under or something like that. But you can, so the play sessions are really quick, and then you can easily just like restart and you're straight back in again if you want. It's kind of got that like Hotline Miami thing of like an instant restart to a degree, do you know?
It does, yeah. There were very quick restarts. It wasn't like a huge loading screen or anything.
Even on the PS1, like, you know?
Yeah, and that's pretty phenomenal actually, considering how many games like, oh, you died here, you might as well go put on a slice of toast, and like by the time it's finished it'll be loading up again,
exactly,
you know, by the end. But I think actually really big thing that you pointed out there, and this is super true, like it's you take off like a bunch of things. You were saying like you take off as many as you can and then you go on to the next level, and like this happened to me like so much. Like at the first level I tried to literally do everything, and like I was pulling my hair out trying to get like the 6 score, like the top score at the end of it, and for the first level that's easy, but I just picked this up. But I realized I was playing it wrong at that point. Like you're supposed to do it until it starts to feel like pretty tough, and then just move on to the next level and go back when you want to, like, okay, I want to get better at this level, come on, here we go. And that's great, like the fact that like you can push yourself to a certain amount and then you're kind of taking a break by going into a new level, checking all that stuff out, and then you kind of push yourself a little bit further, because like most levels kind of force you to do a new trick. Like there's one level, I think it's California. It's the one that's on the beach, which I'm presuming is California. There's a bit where to get the secret tape, you have to do this massive jump off a ramp, which in any other level I don't think you needed to do for any of your objectives. So I think each level actually does subtly teach you to do a new trick.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got that good progression, and like that's like the main way we would have played a lot of these games anyway, just like jumping straight into the single player sort of mode. It rewards, you know, it sort of has that interesting balance of, okay, I got a progression, I can keep going, find new levels, etc. But also, you know, your completionist side will go back and do these challenges, but it's not like it was always pretty easy to unlock the next level. I don't think the criteria were ever too hard.
There was you had to complete a certain number of challenges to unlock the next level, but that could be across all the levels you've already unlocked. Do you know what I mean? So say like you've done all the challenges, but you just can't get the 6 score. There might be like another like, find skate from a previous level that you haven't done, so you could do that, and that would unlock the next one. But yeah, another thing I think, just like the control scheme and like the game mechanics were so simple as well. Like anybody could do it, you know. But like the fact that your skateboard, like you're always moving, and so you don't need to worry about that. Almost, you can like all you're worrying about is lining up your trick and pulling it off and landing again. Basically,
that's probably the secret to why it's so accessible. What you just said, as in like you don't have to worry about that. It's just about, and like there's a certain amount of stickiness as well, like as in if you jump towards a rail, you don't have to be perfectly aligned with it. If you're just in the general vicinity and you hit the correct button at the correct time, you're going to grind on it then.
Yeah, it could be a bit annoying sometimes when like you needed to like turn or go to a specific area. Like you'd
You
have
have
to
to go around a
stop
circle.
yourself
Yeah.
or something, like,
Yeah.
you know. But no, I thought it was like really easy to just get into the gameplay of it.
Yeah, and actually, what you're saying there as well, like this is like the secret, I think, of every good game that's ever been made. Like you're saying, it has a really like low skill floor, very easy to get in, but also, and you know what I'm going to say, really high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
Because like there's bits where I was trying to get the 6 score, and like I found best way for me personally to get like a really 6 score was just find a half pipe and just do like a million tricks up in the air, but you have to get the timing just right to get the landing, and like that is really tricky to do. And it made me think, in a weird sort of way, this is like one of the hardest, most challenging games the PS1 had, if you're approaching it in that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to put in so many button inputs like to get this just right, where if you compare it to like another hard game, like let's say for example Soul Reaver, you think like forward, X, square, like it's really slow. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like comparatively.
And you kind of learn it all like as muscle memory then as well,
Yeah.
like as you progress through
It's
the
like
game.
moves in Tekken or something like
Yeah.
that. The
Yeah.
strings of combos that you can put together.
And
Yeah.
it was so, just what you were saying about like, you know, trying to get the 6 score, it was so gutting though when like say you'd be on a massive string and like you'd be up near 100,000 or something combo, and then you fucking fall and lose it all.
Which do you
Or
think
if
is
you get
more
hit by a
disappointing
cab or-
actually?
sorry.
Oh, the cabs, fucking hell.
Yeah, the
man.
cabs crashing into you when you're just about to like finish off your combo, or like the go-karts. Oh, little. I think they're like what's the lads in Minecraft? You know, the lads who fuck up all your shit.
Creepers?
Yeah, they're like creepers before creepers happen.
We've made the connection between Tony Hawk's and Minecraft, finally.
Sorry, what were you going to say,
5
Michael?
degrees of Minecraft.
Like, but like, if you take things relative to another thing, which is worse? Like having a really high score combo that fails, or someone knocking over your snowman? Like, which of those is a worse thing, do you think? A worse feeling?
Yeah, okay, we won't.
Yeah, well, Sean's sister was going to unlock a new family if she finished that snowman. So, like, I'd see it probably hurt her pretty badly.
Another element that was really vital, well, not vital to a success, but like really added to the game's vibe was the soundtrack as well.
Yes.
And like when you look back on it now, it's so crazy that they got so many like big artists, but have so many like left field choices as well. They have Public Enemy and Anthrax doing a song together. So Anthrax are like a metal band. Public Enemy were like a hip hop group. That's sort of the collision of styles that this game brought. That was really a part of skating culture. The fact that hip hop and heavy metal or punk sometimes were both as attached to this subculture as each other,
Yeah.
even though like as genres of music they don't typically mix. That's why you have a Rage Against the Machine song there as well. But
Would this game be half as good as it was if it didn't have a good soundtrack, do you think?
it's like the Grand Theft Auto thing, you know. It's
Yeah.
like such an important, vital part of it, and it's like, you know, you're skating around these levels a lot, especially if you're
Yeah.
doing some of the higher score things. You want like a good soundtrack and some good music. That's a big reason people didn't like the N64 version of this game as much, because of the limited space on the N64's cartridge. They couldn't fit as many songs on it, so
Oh, right.
they had a
Didn't know
really
that.
restricted soundtrack as a result.
Shit. Just trying to imagine, like, what would this game be like if it was like the Cores and the Goo Goo Dolls singing the soundtrack instead of like Anthrax and Public Enemy?
One cool thing about the remake actually is they added in 37 new tracks to the soundtrack.
Oh, shit.
And like modern songs as well, which like when you're listening to it or when you're just playing along and like a Tribe Called Quest comes on or something. Not a Tribe Called Quest. Trying to think of like a modern song. I just have the list in front of me.
I wouldn't be a fan of them now.
There's like Skepta is in it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And like you're like, oh, that kind of sounds out of place here. But it's kind of cool as well that they added in like a load more songs and like different genres and stuff as well. So it wasn't just all kind of like the pop punk kind of like
Yeah.
general vibe that the old one had, you know, or the original had.
It is a difficult thing to add songs to that playlist that like has the same vibe, I
Yeah,
guess, as well. And
yeah,
maybe they
yeah.
did want to branch out and just not be too specific, because it's such a a little mini time capsule of that time of like some underground stuff, but some stuff that would have gotten popular around that time or gotten more like you got a Papa Roach song in the original as well, like who nobody listens to Papa Roach anymore. But it's nice to look back and like think about it. But no, it's absolutely vital to it. And all of these games had really cool soundtracks as well. I remember, I think Tony Hawk's 3 was my favorite. It had like Ace of Spades by Motorhead in it, which is so good. The weird thing for me is, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I always thought like Tony Hawk's 3 was the best one. Really? Like for me, I don't know if it was because it was the first one on PS2 or something, but I just remember it being like such a bigger, better leap forward. Whereas Tony Hawk's 2 was great, but I'm just so surprised that this one's got the highest ratings.
Well, this is just like Metacritic, like, so, you know, it's not necessarily like, you know, gospel or anything. Like, we weren't exactly singing Ocarina of Time's praises like the last. Still pointing out it was a good game, but like we weren't saying it was like it should have been the best one ever. So like maybe there is an argument the third one is better.
Yeah, well, that like kind of leads me on to, I wanted to ask, like, has anybody played the original first game here?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
okay, Michael. So do you like? I haven't played the original. No.
Go put the kettle on, Steve.
Haven't played the originals. Like, what do you think made the second one stand out so much more from the first? Was it because like I've only played the remakes, and I feel like they've kind of like melded them together a bit, so the gameplay is very similar across both. The only difference is the levels, basically. But maybe like, can you shed any light on the originals?
I think there's two things that are, and two reasons that Tony Hawk's 2 had such high ratings. One is that when Tony Hawk's came out, it was really a sleeper hit. Like, no one was expecting it to be as big a deal as it was, and it sort of grew like through word of mouth and stuff like that. So it initially didn't get the best scores. It got really good scores, but you know, when something's new, maybe some publications are a bit hesitant to give it like 9 out of 10 or 5 stars. They might give it like a 7 or an 8, if even that, you know. And also, I'd have to say that they're pretty similar. Like, if you think about it, Tony Hawk's 2 came out just a year after Tony Hawk's 1. So that's like a pretty quick turnaround. So there wasn't a lot of time. They just sort of refined the formula, added new levels, like made it a little bigger and shinier, added the level editor, which we have to talk about.
Oh yeah.
But it's not like you're saying before, they can sort of just meld together. It's almost like one game in a way.
Yeah.
Did they have did they have there's one thing I remember I really liked in this that I think I vaguely remember from when I played the demo of it, but there's a bit in the hangar at the start where if you grind on the helicopter's like helicopter blades, it like starts launching and like blows open the door of the hangar. That seems like something that might be like at the times like maybe in the first one, like they didn't have anything like that. Maybe they had like fairly static courses, whereas in this one they're like, we're going to shake things up a little bit. Do you know, was that kind of something that was only in this one?
I think you're right. I do think they added more like dynamic animated elements to it, like rather just being like a skate park. So you can definitely see them like branching out and getting a bit more experimental with the level design, which I don't know about ye, but I think it eventually went too far in the later games, and it became a bit like it got further and further away from that core gameplay loop of skating. It just got into like I think the Jackass thing came into it too much, right? Really.
Yeah,
around like Underground 2 and stuff like that.
That's the only one that I had Underground 2 on the PSP, and the one thing that I remember thinking like they just was just insane was the fact that you could get off your skateboard and walk around. And like, why would you want to do this?
It was just lame, and it was like, it felt slow and bad and stupid. Yeah.
Just to jump back to something about the music, right? Controversial statement. Tell me if you agree with me or not. I do not think this game would be as popular as it was if it wasn't for the soundtrack, honestly.
Okay. I do think it's a really important part of it, but why specifically do you think that?
So the reason I'm thinking that, right, is because this, for me, this is an image I have in my head. It's not something I had because I wasn't that popular in school. But like, I imagine that a lot of people like, you know, so come on, go back to mine after school, play a bit of Tony Hawk's. And you can just kind of picture it like, you know, say a group of like 5 lads like playing Tony Hawk's, and like, you know, while two people are playing two player, for example, everyone else can like still be listening to the music, and like it's not like playing something like say Street Fighter where like you're very passive, because like at least you can listen to really good music, you know, while the other people are playing. So like it's an auditory and gamey kind of experience.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, I guess we don't realize how like a lot of us would have done it as a solitary experience back in the day. But yeah, no, it was definitely one of those, and that ties into the whole pick up and play aspect as well. It was sort of like a pass the controller type game, especially with like, you know, the short levels and all. Like you can definitely see a bunch of people, teenagers, whatever, in a room just passing the controller after each round and trying themselves. And that low skill floor, like you mentioned, Steve, is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the soundtrack being fire, as the kids say, also ties into that. I heard a kid say fire. There was a fire.
Don't they say like that soundtrack is Fleek or something?
I think that's dead now, man. Yeah, I think that's gone.
Probably.
But another thing that it added was the level editors. So you could make your own little skate parks and all. They gave you it was sort of like a grid-based system. So you get a piece and you can move it around and fix it here or there. And you had like half pipes and rails and bowls and shit like that you can add in. And I know I had a lot of fun making the stupidest levels I could that were just like 5 half pipes in a row that you couldn't escape out of, and was a constant like just merry-go-round basically. But did you ever use that, or did you enjoy the level editors at all?
Were you able, in the second game, were you able to like play levels that other people had made? Or I guess maybe it was too early on the PS1.
I don't think so, no.
No,
Right,
you
okay.
had to like you'd save it onto your memory card, and what you could do is you could bring your memory card to someone's house, and like they could play it that way. But
That'd be pretty sick, actually.
I think I did that sometimes, but I'm not sure I knew anyone who could make a good level. You know, because it was surprisingly difficult. I do think you had like a fairly restricted amount of space that you could put them in.
Right.
But it was still cool, like making your own thing and then jumping in and skating around it. Like I'm not sure how many games had level editors back in these days, especially console games, you know?
I know, like, so I was like more into BMX back then, so I played a lot of Matt Hoffman's, which is pretty much the same game, just with a BMX, and that had a level editor as well, which is pretty cool. So I did mess around with that a bit.
Yeah, and that's another good point, actually, is there was a huge explosion of extreme sports games after this. Matt Hoffman, Dave Mirra, the King, BMX XXX, which everyone wanted to rent.
Was it Sean White snowboarding?
Sean White snowboard. They even had
There was a surfboard as
Kelly
well,
Slater Pro Surfer.
Yeah.
Which apparently was pretty good. Like, it got some good reviews. It seems so stupid and restrictive.
Yeah.
But like surfing itself, sorry surfers. But you had this huge explosion. I think there was a game called Inline Skating or something like that.
Oh
and
my God,
I had
really?
a demo of that and I absolutely loved it. It was sick. It was really good. But one weird quirk of it was there was a song in it. I can't remember the name of the song, but it had a sample of someone shouting in the background every I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds in the song. And I used to always think it was someone shouting from the bottom of my stairs, like my ma or something, just shouting like, come down for your dinner. Like, for some reason, it just...
Oh my God, I would love for a song to have that sample. It'd be amazing.
Specifically my mother shouting for me to come down for my dinner. Let's make it happen.
Sick. Yeah, there was loads of games like that. And like, this is the thing, I never went out, because like I only ever had so much money to spend on games. I always went for like very specific ones I knew I liked. But like, I played sports games like on demo discs so many times because they were so much fun. There was I forget the name of it, but there was like someone downhill racing, BMX racing.
Yeah,
do you know that?
Yeah, the name
I remember,
rings a bell. Yeah,
I remember this. It was really fun because like you had to, what was it like? Because you actually had to pedal. I think you had to constantly be tapping the button to make your character pedal and do tricks as well. It was like tons of crack. But yeah, this is the thing, like sports games, they just exploded around this time. And I remember like, even though I never really got into Tony Hawk's at the time, I remember I got into like Cool Borders, which had a much worse soundtrack, but I really liked that one as well.
Yeah, no, they were like the snowboarding games were pretty good. Like SSX came out a few years after this. I think it started on the PS2, and that was sick as well. Tricky was an amazing game, but yeah, all roads come from Tony Hawk's, really.
Yeah.
Which sort of blew up, and I guess we had there was a lot of crap as well. Like there was a lot of bad skating games and BMX games and stuff like that. But there were some really cool ones and stuff that would have never seen the light of day if not for Tony Hawk's doing so well.
Is there anything about this game? Like, I know this is going to sound like I'm kind of sucking its dick a little bit, but like, is there anything bad about this game? Because I can't think of very much, if I'm being honest.
Like the only thing I would say is that it maybe didn't update too much about the original, as in it's one of those sequels that gets by because it's almost like a big DLC or something, you know. It's more the same. It doesn't try and reinvent the wheel, and you know there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Video game sequels do it all the time. A lot of what makes video games so interesting as a medium is that they can refine things over multiple games like this. Sequels tend to be better a lot of the time in video games. The original isn't always the best. It's sometimes, especially if it's a new idea, they're still finding their feet. So yeah, that would be maybe the only thing I would point out that's like maybe not great about it, but and also like, you know, the N64 version was like a bit downgraded from the other ones, but that's
I didn't know that the N64 version. I mean, this is the case with so many N64 versions of games that were out in the PlayStation. Very rarely was the N64. I don't think it has ever been the case where the N64 version of a game that was also out on PlayStation was the better version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all the major flaws I can think of with this game are just because of the fact it was on the PS1. Like, even though the songs are amazing, you could say that there's not very many of them. I think there's like, what, 12?
Fair. Yeah, there isn't too many actually. Yeah, that's true.
But despite the fact there was only like however many, like as many times as I heard the soundtrack, I never got sick of the songs. Like they were amazing.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess maybe there's something to the fact that they had to be like a really curated, like they literally could only fit 15 songs into it. So they all had to be bangers sort of thing.
Yeah. But like, because they were so limited, like I think you're right. Like they managed to do so much with like under such restrictions. Like there's only so many levels in it as well. Like, but when you take into account the fact that this was a PS1 game, it's kind of huge. Like
yeah,
comparatively, like
the levels were pretty big as well. Like they had a lot of like hidden areas and other places you can go into. Like comparatively, obviously, like Tony Hawk's 3 had like huge levels, but for the time, and I remember it being like not a bad looking game for the time as well. Like I know in comparison to nowadays, obviously it looks like a pile of dog shit, but at the time it looked pretty good.
Actually, when I was playing it, like I thought it still looked fine. Like it's still a PS1 game. Like it's not going to win any awards or anything, but like it's aged a lot better than a lot of PS1 games, I have to say.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think
That's
a lot
fair.
of that now might be the fact that you're moving so fast for a lot of it, so there's not much time to really focus on the textures. But again, that's just like another plus that the game has in its favor, really.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Quick question, just before we get any further. Did either of you guys ever unlock Spider-Man in it?
No.
No, I didn't. No.
How did you do that?
I have no idea. I'm going to look that up now because I knew you could do it, but I have no idea how. So I bet you it's something insane, like you have to complete the game on expert difficulty or something like that.
I do remember there being lots of cheats with this game. So I can't remember if it was this one or 3 where you could unlock, or you could use a cheat code to make gravity, like only 50% gravity, so you'd hang in the air a lot longer. You could do longer tricks and stuff like that. And the usual, like, I don't know, big head mode and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. According to this, you can unlock Spider-Man by getting 100% in career mode with a created skater.
Right.
Okay. That's a shame.
Yeah, that's because I played like the remakes and I just played as Tony Hawk because he already had like so many. He had a better ability than like if you made your own one.
His stats.
Yeah, better stats. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really bothered like going. I did make my own skater, but I was like, he's shit now compared to Tony Hawk. So
Little Sean there.
I had this weird like philosophical kind of moment when I was doing. So I tried to make Shrek in the create a skater thing, as you do. And I called my career mode Shrek Yourself, obviously. But it was a weird moment I realized when like this came out before Shrek was made. So I had this weird kind of time traveling moment. It's like, I'm playing a game that came out before Shrek was made, but Shrek is in the game. I'm like, ugh. Yeah.
That's like getting a copy of the Bible and like drawing Crash Bandicoot on the cover and being like, oh, this is crazy. Crash Bandicoot wasn't in the Bible.
Crash Bandicoot is in the Bible? Was he your man with the loaves and the fishes?
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I think I'd had a bit to drink at that point. But I remember at the time thinking like, whoa.
This is mind blown. So Tony Hawk's 2 was sick. It did really well. Then we sort of touched on this, but the series sort of went downhill, not directly after this. I think, like I was saying, 3 is a very good game. I actually, not funny story, but I bought Tony Hawk's 3 and Grand... I haven't said the punchline yet. I bought Tony Hawk's 3 and Grand Theft Auto 3 on the same day.
wow.
So that means that Tony Hawk's 3 didn't come out as favourably in my mind as a result, because I just played the shit out of Grand Theft Auto 3. But then you had 4 and the Underground series, and it did really start to lose its way. And like the last few entries had just been really critically panned. Wasn't there one for like the Wii or something where you had like a plastic skateboard?
Yeah, I think that one really got like a bollocking when it came out. Like people were saying it was like standard Wii shovelware gimmicky stuff. So, and the fact that it was Tony Hawk's name attached to it, I remember people really hating on that one.
Yeah, it just really lost its way, and they seem to have redeemed themselves somewhat with the remake, or at least a reinvigorated attention to the series.
Yeah,
anyway.
do you think they'll bring out another new game now that the remake has done well?
It's hard to know. The cynical part of my brain feels like these remakes are just a testing ground a lot of the time, like dipping a toe in the water to see if there is interest in a new game. We saw that with Crash Bandicoot 4 coming out about time. So very possibly, because that sold, the remakes of 1 and 2, Tony Hawk, sold really well.
Yeah.
So I could see it, or maybe they'll remake 3. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'd say they'll do. I have a feeling they might try and do maybe even 3 and 4. But I suspect that won't do as well, just because they'll be adding less, because those are bigger games. It'll be like a fairly bare bones remake, and people I don't think remember those ones as fondly for some reason. Well, 3 they do, but not 4.
Yeah, they weren't as big as 1 and 2 anyway, I don't think.
No, definitely not. No, it's weird. Maybe the market had become saturated with skating games at that point, or maybe they weren't innovating enough with the games at that point as well, which is ironic, I guess, because then they did try do some different stuff with the Underground series, and it just seemed messy. It didn't have the same appeal, to be honest.
And then Skate came along and like mopped the floor.
It showed them a new sort of way to approach it. Yeah, of course.
I wonder if they do a sequel, will they introduce like a lot of modern stuff in it? Like it'll be open world, and you'll have to do craft your own skateboard.
Build your own skateboard.
Yeah. With zombies and moral choices.
Yeah. Oh my God, what kind of moral choices would you have in a Tony Hawk's game? Do
I skate this ramp, or do I save the old lady from being hit by a fucking train?
Grind it, baby!
What?
I don't know. I don't know the lingo.
You have to like fight a security guard who's trying to get you off the court.
Or knock down your sister's snowman.
Yeah, okay.
Or there'll be like they do a Telltale version of Tony Hawk's with like moral choices, and you have to do like quick time events for like the tricks and stuff like that.
No, it would be even better if there's a Tony Hawk's Telltale game where you never skate. It's just Tony Hawk's in his life, just going around making decisions. It's like, oh, do I pay for this girl's surgery, or do I buy a Lamborghini?
He made so much money off those games though as well. Have you seen that? Like he's on a podcast or something, and they're talking about the games, and like the host asks him like, okay, how much money did you make off Tony Hawk's or whatever? And he's like, I can't really, like, he said, I will tell you this. He said, when just before the 4th game was about to come out, he met with like his
Accountant?
he's like, no, he met with the guy at Activision who was like his go-between, I guess. And he like said the games are doing amazing, like way bigger than you ever thought. And he handed him a check for $1 million. Just like that wasn't even payment. That was just like, here, have $1 million. Like that wasn't even for Tony Hawk's 4. Like I say, he got way more than that.
That was just for being a friend.
That was just like, here's like an advance.
Here,
or
buy
whatever,
yourself
you
something
know?
nice.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, he was wrong because it was a phenomenon. Like they're huge. Yeah, it's scary to think, and then it just went away. Really.
Yeah, I like, even though Pro Skater like definitely reinvigorated a little bit, I don't see them continuing it on it, because like that was such a moment in time. Tony Hawk's, like I can't see them suddenly being like, hey guys, skating's cool again, you know,
because I don't think the skate games ever sold as well as the Tony Hawk
I know
games.
2 was like really big as well, Skate 2.
But why, you see, why were people were asking for a sequel for years, but why, like...
Well, there was 3 games, I'm pretty sure, wasn't there?
Oh, okay.
And I don't think 3 like did as well, but I don't know why. But and now they are making another one.
Yeah,
but,
that's fair. Yeah.
But I think like with Skate, it was just a completely different. It was like on PS3 as well, and so the graphics were really good, and it was just like a different control method. It was way more like intricate on how to do the tricks and stuff.
Sort of realistic in a way, though, as well. Like more sort of closer to an actual experience.
Yeah, and the
as much
levels
as you
were
can.
much bigger and stuff too. Yeah.
Didn't Skate have like one of those weird gimmicky skateboard controllers as well, like with the first one when it came out?
I think it was all their thing was tied to like the analog sticks a lot of the time. Wasn't it? I don't think they had a peripheral. Maybe there was other skate games that did, or maybe it worked with like the Wii balance board or some shit like that. I don't know. But I do agree, Steve. Yeah, I don't think they'll make another one. I think they'll more than likely remake another game before they'll make another one, because it was such a moment in time. Skate culture is getting bigger again, I am noticing, but maybe it doesn't have the same mass appeal that it did back when we were teenagers, when like fucking country bumpkins like me would go out and buy a skateboard, even though I live surrounded by fields, so you can't skate in a field, you know.
I remember the skateboard that my sister got, because I got to use it after she stopped for some reason. I could never actually like stand on it, so what I just like there was a hill, kind of actually not even a hill, like a sort of decline outside in our neighborhood. So like I'd usually just like lie down on it and like go flying down. Is it like not luge?
Yeah, luge.
Luge,
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And like the thing is, the end of the thing just went out into traffic. So like I'm really lucky I didn't die. Frankly.
Yeah, we all had that sort of moment, really, as kids. Like, why are we not dead? You know?
Really should be, considering the shit we got up to.
That was the other thing. Sorry, I'm just watching footage of Skate actually, and like you could do like crazy, like really high altitude tricks or whatever, and when you fell off, like your skater would just go like flying. So like having like massive bales and stuff was part of that as well.
And like a ragdoll physics
yeah.
engine or something like
Oh,
that. Yeah, that's cool.
I remember the Underground games had this thing that like I remember at the time thinking was it's one thing I like about the Underground games is if you bail, like you have this rage meter. So if you like smash the X button, like and if you get your rage meter high enough, you'll just like stomp on your board and snap it in half and get like a few points out of it. Which I thought that was pretty cool. But
No, they're literally throwing anything at the game. Like Neversoft. Have you seen what the president of Neversoft looks like? He looks like the guitarist out of what was Fate No More? He looks like the guitarist out of Fate No More. He does not look like the CEO of a company. They were all high, and they said, "Do you know what would be funny is if you could break your skateboard if you tapped B enough or something like that." They're such a weird. I'm sad they're gone. To be
What
honest.
happened to him?
They were really successful
They
for
died,
years.
Sean.
They died. Someone knocked over their snowman. They did the original Spider-Man, which everyone loved. They did all the Tony Hawk's games. They
did Guitar Hero.
they did some of the later sequels. I feel like they got swallowed up by the Activision monster, and just like were put on sequels and stuff like that. And they apparently helped out with some of the Call of Duty games as well. So they were literally just like
doing anything,
throwing bodies at a game rather than, you know, making their own original stuff.
Yeah. If you do get a chance to play the remakes anyway, Steve, of Tony Hawk's, I definitely recommend it. Really
it's one of those ones. If I can ever get me fucking hands on a PS5, like I definitely want to get the PS5 version of it.
Fair enough. I played it on Switch, and it actually looks fairly decent on Switch as well.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Let me check it out then. I saw a friend of mine was playing it on PS4, and it does look amazing. Like it looks so smooth. So yeah,
when you see, like I'm just watching footage now of kind of side by side comparison of the originals and the remakes, and it's insane. Because it's so different, you know, but it looks so good.
It's like 4 console generations in between.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is insane, but yeah.
Still remember when I thought the cutscenes from Final Fantasy VII were, this is it, lads. Graphics are never getting any better than
How
this.
can it get more realistic? It just can't.
Exactly. Like look, you can see the joints in their arms. Like that's insane.
The thing that used to always blow my mind is when they had individual fingers in a game, because like you know back in the PS1 it was just like a big mash, you know, like a mitten.
I remember, for me, I remember playing the Getaway one, which is one of the best games ever, and in the opening in the opening cutscene, it was kind of a leap. Like it was a PS2 game. It was definitely a leap in graphics, I felt. But in the opening cutscene, they're like sitting in a car and they have ears, and I was like, oh my god, because like before that it was just like flat face, like, you know what I mean? But they actually had like ears molded.
Say what you want about the Getaway, the ear graphics, sublime. Absolutely, like spent hours on that.
They had a whole section like dedicated in the studio just for the ears.
We killed a man, took off his ears, and transported them into the game.
Yeah, a bit too far.
I don't think a good reaction shot.
So anyway, guys, this is the question we always ask in From the Top, which is what this podcast is called. I didn't just nearly forget it. It's called From the Top. Does Tony Hawk's 2 deserve its place on the list?
It definitely deserves a place on the list.
All games deserve a place on the list, Sean.
Well, all games, I don't know about that now. But
it was the bottom of the list.
Yeah, okay, true. But
it's technically a game, is what we're after saying there. Yeah.
Is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 a game?
Do you know what? I think we'll have to wait a bit until we like go down the list, because there's a lot of games in the top 10 that are like, you know, it's hard to place them basically, you know, and I think each one is going to be like controversial in some respects, you know.
Well, can I ask a question to you? Do you think it's better than Ocarina of Time?
It's too different.
It is very, and like that's a tricky thing that you get into with any of these lists, is like comparing such different experiences. And like does Tony Hawk's 2 accomplish what it sets out to do? Yeah, 100%.
100%.
It nails everything it tries to do, and we were struggling to find any flaws in it. Is it a momentous game that shaped gaming the same way Ocarina of Time did? No, probably not. It definitely had a impact in the next few years of gaming, but not quite the milestone that Ocarina was.
That's true, actually. Yeah, because like Ocarina, like the stuff that game did, we seem to have enjoyed that game less than we enjoyed this game. But having said that, like the stuff that Ocarina of Time did definitely stuck around. Like all the tropes are like present in like games that we're still playing now.
Of course.
Whereas Tony Hawk's, and this, I think this pretty much boils down to the fact that like sporting games like this just haven't retained their popularity like nowadays. So like if they still were popular, I think you could say like it definitely had an effect, because like a lot of the stuff that they did in this, it feels like are present in a lot of like modern games like that, like the dynamic courses and stuff in particular seem like really good, and just like little things like, you know, how the game flows, very short time. Well, actually that's something I don't know. Sean, you might know that from the skate games. Do they have like the really short time periods to do like checklist stuff?
I
or-
can't really remember that well, but I don't think they had any time.
No, I think it
killers.
was pretty open levels as
Yeah.
well, to be
Oh.
honest. Like, whereas Tony Hawk's, well, the original games were pretty confined and streamlined, and everything you needed to do was around this area because of the limits. But no, Skate was more free flowing.
Yeah, I think it was a similar thing. Like you had objectives to complete, maybe, but not the same way like a time limited period like Tony Hawk's.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of impact, maybe it was more of a fad in a way. Not to diminish the game or a lot of those other extreme sports games that came afterwards, but in terms of impact, not quite as monumentous maybe as Ocarina of Time or some games that are going to come up in the next few episodes.
Yeah.
But saying that, in terms of quality, why can't it be there as well in a lot of ways? Like, we can't find a lot of things wrong with it. It's a really fun game still. It's aged well, which I don't think every game on this list will have aged as well
Yeah.
as this, to be honest.
True.
That's 100% true, actually. Because like when I was playing this, and I was playing a different game. What was I playing? Can't remember. It doesn't matter. But basically, anytime I play that, like I get to a bit where I was like, I'm not arsed doing this bit again. You know what? I'll play a bit of Tony Hawk's before I go to bed. You know, like so it was actually more fun to play Tony Hawk's, which was like 20 years older or whatever game it was I was playing. So like,
But
that says a lot.
I think that's because, again, you can just easily jump in and out of it. You know, like it's just one of those games that if you have 5 minutes to kill, you can dip in. You know, which is really nice. You're not getting like bogged down in an hour-long mission or something. You know.
Yeah, and that's sort of, especially nowadays, I think we all get a little weary in that sort of thing.
Yeah,
As in,
totally,
like,
yeah.
it's not like having an hour to play a big, huge, modern AAA game isn't like what do you get done in an hour? One side mission, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, having that pick up and play sort of arcadey feel is definitely one of its strengths, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say it definitely deserves to be high. You're probably right, Sean. We'll definitely end up comparing it to other games down the line. But I definitely think it deserves to be high anyway. Because, like I said, can't think of any flaws of it really.
No.
And it's nice to have a game, because we're not going to have too many extreme sports or sports games. A few here and there towards the list, but it definitely skews more towards action games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So having something in this ilk is pretty cool. Up and so high in the list as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
A bit of a weird one, but very cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that is it, guys.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We will be back with another episode, and Steve is going to tell us now what the next game we'll be looking at is.
So the next game that we are going to be playing is Grand Theft Auto 4.
Sick.
Wowsies.
Can't wait.
Okay, that'll be a good one. Okay, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.